3 a.m. in the heart of the Louisiana bayou. On a thermal scope, the world bleeds into static gray and pitch black. Hovering at 100 feet, Mason locks his drone on 11 brilliant white heat signatures tearing through the mud. 2 hunting seasons ago, this exact same clearing swarmed with over 40 feral hogs. Tonight, only 11 remain. Something out here is liquidating America's most unstoppable invasive pest, one shadow at a time, and it isn't us. As the camera match cuts to the black, bottomless swamp water, a chilling realization hits. We declared an all-out war on these beasts. Yet an invisible predator is finishing the job in the dark, while we watch helplessly from our pickup trucks. What spectral force is dragging these monsters into the abyss? Hit that subscribe button right now, because tonight we are dropping into the dark to uncover the terrifying truth behind the swamp's silent reaper. To truly grasp why those 11 thermal signatures disappearing in the dead of night is so unsettling, you first have to understand the sheer scale of the nightmare we are dealing with. We are not talking about a few stray farm animals wandering through the woods. We are talking about an absolute biological takeover, a relentless force that has effectively placed the entire state of Louisiana under siege. Where are you watching this video from? Please tell us your country or city in the comments, and let's explore together. If you pull up a map of Louisiana, the official numbers from state wildlife officials will tell you there were around 700,000 wild hogs tearing up the landscape by late 2024. But talk to the field veterinarians, the biologists, and the local land managers who actually trace these herds, and they will tell you the real figure easily blew past 900,000. To put that into perspective, that means there are more feral hogs roaming the bayous than the entire human populations of New Orleans and Baton Rouge combined. They are not confined to some remote, isolated wilderness either. They have infested every single one of Louisiana's 64 parishes, from the dense piney woods up north, all the way down to the salty marshes bordering the Gulf of Mexico. What makes this invasion so wild is that these creatures were never supposed to be here in the first place. Every single wild hog tearing through the southern soil today is a descendant of domestic swine brought over by Spanish explorers centuries ago, mixed with escaped farm stock and imported Eurasian wild boars. When domestic pigs slip their fences and enter the wild, something terrifying happens. Within just a couple of generations, their domestic traits strip away. The pink skin and farm fat disappear, replaced by thick bristly coats, razor-sharp tusks, and dense cartilaginous shoulder armor built for brutal fighting. They transform into nature's ultimate breeding machine. A single mature sow can produce up to 3 litters a year, with anywhere from 6 to 12 piglets per litter. To make matters worse, those piglets reach sexual maturity before they even turn a year old. The math quickly turns into a horror story. Wildlife biologists have calculated the exact biological formula required to simply hold a wild hog population steady. To keep their numbers from growing by even a single animal, you have to eradicate between 70% and 75% of the total population every single year, indefinitely. Now look at what humans are actually accomplishing. Even with high-powered night vision, helicopter hunts, massive corral traps, thermal scopes, and an open season with 0 bag limits, all the hunters, farmers, and trappers across Louisiana combined are only taking out about 33% of the herd each year. We are not even cutting into their principal. We are barely scraping the interest. Human effort is losing this war, and losing it badly. The brutal reality of the math proves that human intervention is nowhere near enough to explain why a herd of 40 hogs on a thermal screen suddenly drops down to 11. If our absolute best technology and hunting pressure can only scratch a third of their numbers, then something else out in the dark is pulling the trigger. An ecological crime committed by these hogs has triggered a silent retaliation from the swamp itself, and the bayou is beginning to exact its revenge. To understand why the swamp is fighting back, you have to look at the sheer destruction these animals leave in their wake. Walk onto any farm in central Louisiana after a herd passes through, and it looks like an artillery strike went off. They do not just graze. They use those bone-crushing snouts like bulldozers, rooting up the earth feet deep, shredding costly irrigation lines, and turning fertile agricultural fields into cratered landscapes. Survey data from local agricultural extensions shows that roughly 87% of Louisiana farmers have reported a massive surge in feral hog damage since 2020. That is the highest rate reported anywhere in the American South. The LSU Ag Center estimates that agricultural losses, equipment destruction, and land degradation caused by wild hogs stack up to a staggering $91 million every single year in Louisiana alone. If you enjoy deep dives into real-world mysteries like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss our next investigation. Yet the financial devastation is only a small fragment of the story. The ecological toll is far more sinister. These hogs are not passive herbivores quietly eating roots. They are aggressive, opportunistic omnivores that devour practically anything with a heartbeat. Biologists performing stomach content analyses on harvested hogs consistently pull out the remains of native snakes, turtles, rabbits, ground-nesting birds, salamanders, and even young white-tailed deer fawns. Their wallowing habits are systematically poisoning the water table. By churning up creek beds and dumping mountains of waste directly into running water, they spike bacterial contamination levels across central Louisiana streams far past safe limits. Native freshwater mussels, aquatic insects, and delicate fish species are suffocating in muddy, bacteria-choked runoff. Perhaps most shockingly, these invasive beasts have had the nerve to challenge the ancient apex predator of the bayou. Wild hogs actively hunt down American alligator nests along the water's edge. Over half of all licensed alligator egg harvesters in Louisiana report hog predation on their territories, with hogs destroying nearly 600 wild nests in a single season. A sounder of hogs will root right into a mound of marsh grass, driving off the mother alligator and devouring 25 to 50 thick-shelled eggs in a single sitting. Think about that for a second. An invasive domestic farm animal descendant has climbed to the top of the food chain, slaughtering the next generation of a reptile species that has successfully ruled these wetlands for millions of years. If you thought the bayou would just lie down and take that kind of disrespect, you do not know Louisiana. Nature always finds a way to balance the scales. And a brutal reversal of roles kicks off the moment the sun drops below the horizon. The very darkness that once protected these wild hogs is turning into their worst nightmare. For decades, scientists, wildlife managers, and locals shared a clean, comfortable theory about why wild hogs blew up across Louisiana. The narrative was simple. We wiped out all the big predators. Red wolves were completely eradicated from the wild eastern cougars, were officially declared extinct, and Louisiana black bears were far too timid to go toe-to-toe with a 300-pound boar clad in razor armor. In our minds, the swamp was completely devoid of top-tier killers. Humans were the only threat left, and because we were failing, the hogs were running wild with zero checks or balances. That neat, cozy explanation completely collapsed the moment we brought high-tech thermal imaging into the night sky. For generations, the hog's greatest asset was the cover of pitch-black darkness. They spent hot southern days buried deep in impenetrable cypress swamps, emerging only under the veil of midnight to feed, destroy, and multiply. Traps required luck, and nighttime hunting meant stumbling around in the dark with flashlights, while hogs slipped effortlessly into the shadows. Then came the thermal drone revolution, and the game changed overnight. Advanced outfits like Rougarou Hog Control and operators flying specialized rigs like the Dehoga Flyer started deploying heavy-lift thermal drones over vast tracts of land covering over 100,000 acres in central Louisiana. As these drones cut through the night air at 100 feet up, their infrared sensors stripped away the dark entirely. Sitting in the air-conditioned cabin of a pickup truck miles away, an operator could look down at a screen and see every single living body emitting heat against the cold ground. The impenetrable swamp canopy became glass. Hogs glowing bright white stood out like neon signs against the gray backdrop. Operators could track their movements, spot their bedding areas, and vector ground hunters directly onto the sounder before the pigs even knew they were being watched. Across properties where thermal drones patrolled, wild hogs began vanishing in huge numbers. Human technology had finally stripped the hogs of their ultimate advantage. But as operators stared into those glowing screens scanning the deepest, most inaccessible reaches of the bayou, they noticed something that made them freeze. The thermal camera was not just revealing hogs. Moving alongside those sounders were other heat signatures. They were sleek, incredibly fluid, silent, and ghosting through the timber right behind the pigs. The swamp was never empty. It was just too dark for us to see what was watching. When thermal drone pilots started zooming in on those mysterious thermal shapes moving through the dark, the whole picture of the swamp began to rewrite itself. What we are seeing on these thermal screens is a full-scale tactical assault on wild hogs by native wildlife, operating on levels we never truly appreciated before. First, you have the coyotes and bobcats. A lone coyote or a 70-pound bobcat stands zero chance against a 300-pound feral boar armed with razor tusks and a bad attitude. But they do not fight fair. On thermal camera footage, you can watch coyotes shadow a sounder for hours, circling just at the edge of the infrared beam, waiting for a single piglet to stray just 10 feet away from its mother. By systematically picking off the piglets, coyotes and bobcats are striking a brutal blow straight at the hog's greatest weapon, their terrifying reproductive speed. Then you look down at the water's edge, where the ultimate grudge match plays out. The same wild hog that spent its spring digging up alligator nests to devour eggs finds out what happens when summer arrives. On thermal scopes, the muddy river water registers as a cold, jet-black void. As a herd of white-hot glowing hogs walks down to drink, a cold, dark shape slides out of that black water without making a single ripple. In a lightning burst of spray, a massive alligator clamps onto a 100-pound hog and drags it under. Necropsy studies on wild alligators across Louisiana continuously pull adult hog remains out of their stomachs. The ancient reptile is actively settling the score. If you are enjoying this deep dive into how nature takes back control, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel and stay caught up on all our wild investigations. Yet the biggest, most mind-bending revelation on these thermal screens is a shape that official records say should not exist at all in Louisiana: the mountain lion. State wildlife agencies have maintained for years that Louisiana lacks a breeding population of cougars. But the hard scientific data tells a fascinating story of solitary apex predators slipping through the cracks. In 2002, wildlife scientists confirmed a wild cougar in Louisiana via DNA collected from scat at Lake Foss Point. In 2008, trail cameras captured verified cougars across 3 different parishes, and a male shot near Bossier City was genetically traced all the way back to New Mexico. Further DNA-confirmed sightings popped up in 2011 and again in 2016. If you doubt a big cat's ability to walk into Louisiana unannounced, consider what happened in 2011 when a young male mountain lion was struck by a car in Connecticut. DNA testing proved that single cat had walked over 1,500 miles straight from South Dakota, crossing through heartland cities and highways completely unnoticed until its fatal accident. For a cougar pushing eastward from expanding populations in Texas, slipping into the massive, swampy corridors of Louisiana is a walk in the park. So why the official skepticism? Because local rumors constantly blur the truth. Property owners routinely report seeing cougars that turn out to be yellow labs, bobcats, or large house cats. Others spin tall tales about legendary black panthers, a melanistic big cat variation that science has proven does not exist anywhere in North America. This noise creates a double-blind scenario. Officials dismiss sightings because of rampant misidentifications, allowing actual lone ghost cats from Texas to silently hunt the river bottoms completely off the grid. Drone operators now regularly capture lone, massive thermal signatures moving with feline fluidity through deep river valleys. These top-tier stalkers have found an absolute paradise packed with nearly 1 million feral hogs. But that leaves us with one haunting question. Can these wild shadows ever be enough to stop the hog plague? Or is the true ultimate predator something far more familiar? When you step back from those thermal screens, three harsh truths become crystal clear. First, as incredible as it is to see gators, coyotes, and bobcats fighting back, their impact is localized. On a statewide level, the hog army keeps growing. Second, those ghost cougars slipping in from Texas are real, but a handful of solitary wanderers cannot dismantle an army of nearly 1 million wild hogs. And third, the most sobering truth of all, the ultimate apex predator on that screen is us. We created this crisis by clearing out native predators and letting domestic swine escape. Now, we are parked in truck cabs with high-tech thermal drones, desperately trying to undo our own mistakes, yet still trailing behind. This story teaches us a profound lesson about our place in the natural world. Humanity often believes it can dominate nature without consequences, breaking delicate ecological balances for short-term convenience. But nature is resilient, patient, and relentless. It will always find a way to patch the wounds we inflict, reminding us that every choice we make ripples far deeper than we can foresee. True stewardship requires respect for natural boundaries, not just high-tech damage control after the floodgates burst. What are your thoughts on this battle in the bayou? Drop a comment below. Hit that subscribe button to join our community, and click the recommended video on your screen to keep exploring with us. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.